Okay, so we are live. Let me see one more time on my page.
I am sorry, Javeria, I don't see it live. I wanted to share it, but I can't see it live.
No, it's live. Yeah, we are live. I received the notification. Wait, I will.
I wanted to share it, but I can't find it.
Yes, we are Elite Club KSA.
Yes, Elite Club KSA.
Yeah.
I'm on your page.
Yeah, this one. Okay. So hello viewers, Assalamu alaikum, good evening. I hope you can hear me properly, you can see me properly. This is Javeria Asad, founder of Elite Club KSA and Elite Literature Society, and with the new and fresh episode of Live from Elite Studio. As you all know, that the purpose of this show to invite multiple professionals, entrepreneurs, teachers, writers, authors from all over the world to take inspiration from their success stories. Because behind every success, there are so many hurdles and challenges. So we need to learn about it because success never comes on a simple plate. So today I'm so excited because my guest, she's a multitasker. She's an amazing, remarkable lady who is helping the people around her. And she is none other than Jessica J. Lockhart. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you so very much, Javeria. It is a great pleasure first, but also a great honor to be here as your guest. I'm really happy.
Thank you so much. Jessica is an award-winning author, hymnologist, and director of International Institute of Hymnology. Yes, it's a new discipline which she is expertise, she has it. So today we will talk about exactly what is hymnology, why did she adopt this unconventional and non-traditional discipline or as a career or as a profession. So Jessica, just starting from your initial academics, education, from exactly from where you are and how from where you got your initial education, and then of course, why did you choose to become a hymnologist as your career?
Well, hymnology is something that I created many years ago after my original career was truncated because I had 2 car accidents. I used to work as a simultaneous interpreter, you know, those that speak at the same time. That's what I used to do as a professional, and I loved it. But then I had some car accidents and I was declared disabled. I was told that I would never walk again. So as a result of that, I kind of lost my optimism, my drive, my power, my strength. And because things got really complicated, Javeria, I was in acute, constant pain for 7 years, every single day. I would try to get up from bed and I would fall to the ground. Well, because of the constant pain and the limitations and having to quit my job and having to sell my company, I little by little lost my optimism. And for a few years, I did nothing but try to take care of myself. Until one day, an old friend of mine came to visit me and asked me, "But Jessica, whatever happened to you?" And then I started with my story. You know, I had the car accidents and then this and that. And she said, yeah, I know all that. I don't mean that. I said, what do you mean then? She said, where did your optimism go? And that, Javeria, was a big shock to me. It was like, true. She said, you used to be the most optimistic person I ever met. And now you're here whining and depressed and blue. This is not you. I said, yeah, that's right. This is not me. I'm not this. Well, from that moment on, I decided to study optimism to see if I could get it back. Yeah, I was in constant acute pain. Yeah, I'd been told I'd never walk again. Yeah, I was even told I couldn't have any more children because I couldn't hold a baby. There were quite a few limitations in my life. Little by little, I started learning about optimism. I studied the greatest. I studied the most advanced knowledge on optimism. And I discovered that it could be relearned. And I trained myself to recover optimism. And then people saw how I improved, how even my body was looking better and feeling better. Because optimism, understood the way we understand it in humanology, is not just looking on the bright side of life. No, optimism is that strength that all human beings have when they're born, that power that all babies have to continue standing up when they fall, when they're learning to walk, to never give up. And sometimes society teaches us to lose that optimism. The society tells us that being optimistic might not be right, so we lose it. Well, I started recovering it, people saw it, and people asked me, can you teach us? So I started teaching them, and they also recovered their power. And the funny thing came when, after recovering their optimism and their power and their energy, they said, so what else can we do? I said, what do you mean, what else you can do? Teach us more. Teach you more about what? About life, how to be happier, how to be better. I said, I don't know. Well, because I found it interesting and because it really made sense to me, I decided to continue training. And the next training was I became an ontological coach. That is a coach that studied human beings. After that, I became an expert in happiness. Then I studied NLP. Then since then, I never stopped studying. But there came a moment in which people kept on asking me, so what is it that you do? Are you a coach? And I would say, yeah, I'm a coach. I'm an ontological coach, but I'm also an optimism coach. But I'm also a mentor. I'm also a teacher. I'm also a psychotherapist. What am I? It's whatever technique my clients needed at that moment, because sometimes they needed coaching, sometimes they needed mentoring, sometimes they needed psychotherapy or teaching. And I didn't know what it was that I did. I knew what I did, but I couldn't put a label onto it. Well, as the years went by and I gained experience and knowledge, I also realized one thing. I couldn't accept that human beings were only approached from one single point of view or perspective. You know, historically, when we study human beings, we do it in a fragmented way, Javeria. We study the mind through psychology or psychiatry, the body through biology or medicine, societies through anthropology or sociology. That's not right. We human beings are integral beings. Every single part of us, our intellect, our mind, our body, our emotions, our spirituality, everything is connected. We're in the 21st century. We've been studying human beings for centuries and centuries, and we still study ourselves in a fragmented, isolated way. Why wasn't there a science or discipline that approached us in an integral way, as complete beings? And that's why I decided to call what I do humanology. I have a lot more to share because humanology is more complex than just putting two things together or putting a whole bunch of methods together. There is many common elements. For example, we have a basic understanding of the human being through a model that incorporates 4 elements and explains every person in the world. And based on that model, we use all the other methods, strategies, techniques, and tools that we have gathered, collected, and put together as humanology. But that is how humanology was born, as a way to approach human beings more cohesively, more comprehensively, because we are integral beings. I don't know if I answered your question, Javeria, because it's a long story cut very short.
Yes, but the essence of this conversation so far that we should consider human being as a whole unit, not as you mentioned, or not in fragments and portions or parts. So that we can, improve our lives on the whole. Okay, so when you decided that you will, okay, this is basically the humanology. You give this title to this new discipline, and then
Yeah.
then you started your organization, institute,
Mhm.
International Institute of Humanology. How did you started it? What challenges you faced? Because difficult, to invent or to tell people there is new discipline, and of course, people will take some time for the acceptance. And definitely, and as you mentioned, that this discipline combine all the other self-help things, counseling, psychology. It's a mother of all these aspects. So how did you
Yes.
start it?
So the basic premise was, if psychology studies the mind, sociology studies societies, humanology studies human beings.
Hmm.
That was the logic behind the name. And by the way, it was a name that my husband coined. And it's our trademark. We have the trademark for the term humanology in many countries of the world, including Europe and the United States. So I first began as a humanologist myself. I was working as a humanologist. I would do my things. My clients would improve very much because by offering them whatever it is that they need at the specific moment, they make much more progress than if you just have one tool. I mean, I am a coach. I am an ICF coach. I was trained and I have the accreditations. I have everything. I'm a master coach, in fact. And if I only use the coaching techniques with my clients, many of them would feel frustrated because not all of them need coaching and not all of them need coaching all the time. So by using one single tool, I am limiting my capacity to help my clients or to help them help themselves. One of the premises of humanology is, first, know and understand yourself so you can take action. If you don't know, if you don't understand who you are, you're acting blindly. You're just doing things for the mere sake of doing them.
Randomly.
It's like you go to a coach and the coach tells you do this, or they ask you questions to look for answers inside yourself. I'm sorry, coaching is limited in that sense. How can I find answers to things I never lived and never experienced? It's like trying to teach a kid to multiply when they haven't learned the numbers. The kid will never learn looking for the information and the knowledge inside of himself. He will never learn because he doesn't have the necessary information to build that knowledge. And many coaches say you have all the answers inside of yourself. Well, I'm sorry, I differ in that opinion. I think that sometimes our clients need pure teaching. They need to learn things so they can understand them and make them theirs and then use them. So at the beginning, I was just working with clients. But because the results were so overwhelmingly positive and their lives changed so deeply, a lot of people started working with me. And they asked me to start training them and teaching them. So I created the first courses. I started training optimism coaches because that was the first method I created. After that, I continued training them on the other aspects of humanology. And there came a point in which I understood that humanology has to transcend me. That's not important here. What really matters here is that we have this new discipline that puts human beings in the center and that helps us understand who we are so we can take care of our own lives. Humanology is not Jessica Lockhart. I am just the creator. Unlike, I don't know, psychology or coaching, who created it doesn't really matter. What matters is that it works and that it helps human beings. I understood that I had to transcend, that humanology had to transcend me to grow, and it had to be given to the world. I couldn't do that as a single person. So I decided to create an institute and train other people in humanology so that they would help me. They would strengthen this discipline. They would research the discipline. They would really contribute to it. So it would grow stronger, more solid, and it would reach more people. And that's why I first created the International Institute of Humanology here in Switzerland. And then when we were transferred to Panama a few years ago, I also opened a second institute in Panama that mainly deals with humanology in Spanish, and the one in Switzerland mainly deals with humanology in English. But we have the two, and both work together with humanologists in training all around the world, both in Spanish and English. And that's why I created the institute, because humanology needs to transcend me.
Okay, so basically what I understood from your conversation, that humanology basically help us to understand our beliefs as a human being. First, we need to understand ourselves, then definitely we can grow in our lives with a clear perspective, exactly what we want from our lives.
Yes, but let me interrupt you here, because Javeria, humanology is not just about beliefs.
Okay.
See, that would be limiting. It's everything. It's
everything.
Let me give you an example, okay? An example that is so clear that everybody understands. You call me one day and you say, oh God, I have this horrible stomachache. And then I tell you, why don't you go to the doctors? You go to the doctor and the doctor might say, okay, let me give you some painkillers. What they don't know, or they're not doing, is they're not analyzing where that stomachache came from. Now imagine this situation. You're going on a trip a few days from now, and the trip, for whatever reason, is scary to you, you know, and you start worrying. God, I have to go on a trip. Imagine you're afraid of flying and you have to fly. God, I'm going to have to climb on that plane, and I'm so scared. What if the plane falls? Oh my God. You start worrying about it. Well, that worry makes your body release a lot of cortisol, noradrenaline, and that causes certain tension in your body. By tensing your muscles and your body in general, that could cause these emotions that you're feeling could cause physical stomachache. And it all is born out of one thought. God, I have to fly, I'm scared. It's one thought that causes one emotion that results in a physical condition. So in this sense, you see that the whole human being is involved. Giving you painkillers will not cure the problem, will not solve it. Anytime you have to fly, you're going to have the same stomachache, and it has nothing to do with your body, or only with your body. So it's exactly that. We need to approach human beings as complete integral beings and help them understand that. Sometimes we suffer from things that were born in thoughts, were caused by thoughts that resulted in emotions. Emotions resulted in feelings. Feelings caused certain bodily reactions. And those reactions could even have an impact upon our own spirituality. Everything is related. And we need to understand that and approach it from every different perspective if we want to really help a human being.
Okay, so already we have started discussing exactly what is humanology. So you also wrote multiple books on the particular topics, not a particular topic, but as you mentioned that humanology described with different elements, like for example, optimism, absolute forgiveness, etc. So when you write your first book, and how was the response? And I just want to know, when you started with this concept, when you introduced this concept, what was the response from the community?
Okay, the first book I ever wrote was The Optimist in You. And in fact, I wrote it after creating the method Optimism Coaching, which is a complete method on its own that works, focused on helping people recover their lost optimism, understanding their motivation, recovering their energy and their drive. So I worked on that for many years, and that was my, as I said, my origins. And I started helping other people. And funnily enough, the same person who asked me, where did your optimism go? that same person came to me a few years later and said, you need to write a book. And I said, yeah, you might be right. And that's the first book I ever wrote, The Optimist in You. The Optimist in You was at the beginning a self-published book. I published it myself because I was living in Russia. And in Russia, well, they don't usually speak English or Spanish, which are the two languages I use. And it was very difficult for me to find a publishing in Russian because I'd have to have a professional translator and all those things. So I just published it myself in Amazon. But then sometime later, a Spanish publishing company asked for the rights to publish the book in Spanish. So it was published by a publishing company in Spanish. And then a few other books followed. I wrote Coaching for You. I wrote What Story Do You Tell Yourself? I also wrote one book that is not translated into English because it was a request by another publishing company, and it's a book on human communication. It's communication from the point of view of the self and humanology based, as couldn't be any other way. The books were quite well accepted. There's a lot of people who have praised me for the books. I received quite a few awards because of them. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. And I am currently writing another book. I'm writing a book on personal essence. As I said before, humanology is based on a model of the human being that has 4 elements. Many years ago, I discovered one element that I haven't been able to find any other place. That is one of the key constituting elements of the human being in the theory of humanology. I called it personal essence. And everybody helped work on this concept to discover their own personal essence, say that it gives them clarity and helps them understand themselves very well. So I am now writing a book on this concept. It's something that, as I said, I couldn't find any other place, so I couldn't find any reference in the literature in the world, in any language that refers to this concept. But when people find it, when they discover what their personal essence is, they all say, of course, yeah, it's like, I always knew it was there. It's something that everybody says, yeah, of course, but nobody that I know of was able to pinpoint until today. So we're studying, I carried out an extensive study on the subject, and other people are studying it together with me. And this is the next book I hope to publish.
Yes, I know. Inshallah, it will be published very soon. We are equally excited. Okay. So when you said that already we need to consider a human as a whole, as a unit. So my next question would be that although all the psychologists, life coaches, career coaches, counseling, they are doing many things. So why we need humanologists? Why this world need humanologists?
Okay, I think we need a new science, a new discipline that has this multifaceted approach. When we continue studying human beings in this individualized, fragmented way, we miss out on a lot of information. It's like medicine, you know? We have general practitioners and then we have specialists or experts. And for example, there are countries like the United States in which most doctors are highly specialized. They are, for example, I don't know, neurological pediatricians, and they only deal with that type of medicine. They do nothing else but that. If you go to them because you have a headache and you're an adult, they'll say, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about that. Whereas, for example, here in Europe, we have general practitioners, and every doctor is a general practitioner by trade. They are trained to be that, and then they become experts, but they'll know everything. I think that humanology is, to all other sciences, a little bit like that. It should be part of every other science in the world, including technical sciences. Even engineering or architecture should include humanology. Why? Everything we do, everything, is or evolves around the human being. What do we do engineering for? For us, human beings. Are we, I don't know, designing a space shuttle? What for? To help us human beings. So unless we consider the human being that is at the core of everything, a lot of those efforts are wrong. Let's take architecture. And if I may, I will share a little anecdote with you about architecture. When I was a simultaneous interpreter, I used to translate at many architectural conventions and conferences. And I remember that I was invited to translate at the first Congress that was going to be held in a new Congress palace in a certain city in Spain. And it was going to be the official opening of this conference palace. Well, we got there the first day and it was mayhem. I mean, it was such chaos. People were going crazy. First, the architect had completely forbidden to have any indicating tags or names or signals in the whole building because they looked ugly. Oh. So nobody knew where any of the rooms were. Nobody knew how to get to the bathrooms. Nobody knew nothing because there were no signals anywhere. Furthermore, they had also put the main electrical light switches in the headquarters for the building that were like in the middle of the building. So if you wanted to turn the lights on and off in the building, you had to walk blindly without any lights on till the center of the building to be able to
into the building, more into the building rather than going away.
That's because of course there was no light to get there. Yeah. That's what I mean. And these are very silly, simple examples. We need to consider human beings, no matter what we're doing. Building buildings, architecture should be at the service of human beings because we build buildings for human beings, not just for the ego of the architect designing the building. It's useless to design a beautiful building that is useless.
It should be human friendly, yes.
So that is why I think that humanology should be the general science at the basis of everything else. But of course, it's a long way off. I think that every architect, every doctor, every engineer, every biologist should have a minimum understanding of humanology. Who are we? What do human beings want? How can we serve humanity? How can we do what we do by taking human beings into account? For example.
That's why you have categorized into different types, right? For youth humanology, corporate humanology, kids humanology, humanology for women. Like, so we have different types of humanology, right?
Yeah, humanology is one discipline, but it's like any other discipline. Take, for example, education. You know, teaching primary students is not the same as teaching kindergartens, and it's not the same as teaching university students. You become specialized. You specialize in a certain part of education. Like medicine, we said you have general medicine, but then you become an expert in some kind of aspect of medicine. So humanology is the same. You become a humanologist, but then you specialize in one aspect of humanology or on one type of population. So we have humanologists who mainly work with children, others who work in the corporate world, others who work with families or couples, others who work with minorities. It depends on what kind of programs you want to develop and what you want to focus on. You also have humanology for example, education, integrating humanology and education. It's a new science.
It's a new science and every institute, whether it's educational or political or corporate, they should have a humanologist. Okay, so now half an hour cannot confine this huge topic. We are running out of time. It's like 5:43, 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, I just want to take advantage because you mentioned that we have so many tools, and you said that initially you, because of lack of optimism in you started this discipline, you introduced this discipline. So just for the audience, because most of the time we are having so much tough time, our environment, financial responsibilities, emotional responsibilities, and many other, especially for women, because our elite club is mainly the members are women. So I always ask questions which describe their problems. So how they can maintain their optimism level, because mostly we are living in Saudi Arabia, and this is another perspective that I always, how to be, because we don't have so many opportunities to socialize, going out, and many are not working, not pursuing their professional careers. So these things demotivate us. So
Yeah, of course.
and you mentioned that first course you have introduced was related to optimism coaching. So how we can maintain a level of optimism
Well,
with
I
this
will
scenario?
answer your question, if I may, two ways. The first one is optimism coaching is the first of the four fields that we work on in the humanology training course. Okay, humanology is a 2-year program. It's equivalent to a master's degree in certain accreditation bodies and in certain institutions. The first part is devoted to optimism coaching. The second one is devoted to personal development. The third one is related to human relations, everything having to do with others. And the last and fourth one is related to human development. Personal development is yours. Human development is anything and everything that has to do with the rest of the world. That's where we train our humanologists on specific targeted methods like absolute forgiveness, how to deal with stress and anxiety, how to deal with depression. So we focus more on specific methodologies. Having said that, if the problem a person is having is lack of optimism because they lost it for whatever reason, there could be many reasons. There are many different approaches that could be used. What the real cause is will guide the optimism coach or the humanologist in how to support those people recover their lost optimism. Sometimes we want to find patterns and we say most people lose their optimism because blah, 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 but that might not be so. So what I would suggest, what I would recommend is, of course, that they hire an optimism coach or a humanologist. But if they can't do that, they could perhaps read one of our books. The Optimist in You is a book that guides you step by step into recovering your optimism. One of the things, for example, that we realized is that we sometimes lose our optimism because of family or cultural beliefs that we acquire as we grow up, and we don't even realize we're doing it. And those beliefs lead us to see the world in a certain way that limits us. And we feel trapped and caged, and we see no way out. But there always is a way out. I was told, Javeria, that I would never walk again. And I was a medical interpreter. The best doctors in the world studied my case. And they were wrong. I'm not in a wheelchair, as they said I would be. I'm not. Is this a miracle? No. I understood my body. And because I couldn't go this way like everybody does, I went this other way. And optimism is a little bit like that. If something doesn't work for you, let's look for another way to make it work. Don't give up. There's many different ways, you know? So if you can't find a way, ask for help. Sometimes, as we say here say here in Europe, 4 eyes see more than 2. So don't look at the problem just through your eyes. Ask other people's help into analyzing the problem and finding solutions. Did I answer your question, Javeria?
Yes, very well, comprehensively, actually. And thank you so much. I have a lot of questions, but definitely we can't cover all the questions in this half an hour. But I would suggest all the women who are listening to me or people join International Institute of Humanology, adopt any course which you like, but my suggestion is start from the optimism coaching, and we can help you. All the details will be mentioned on our D Club KSA and the page Jessica Humanology by Jessica de Lockhart. Okay, thank you so much, Jessica, for taking out time from your busy schedule, because I know you are so much busy in your different activities. and you're an amazing mother, amazing, remarkable wife, and a great homemaker, I know. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's not about that you're only she is a working lady and she managed all the time. It's all about how you manage your time, how much time you're giving your ambitions. So, all you have to have a optimism, high level of optimism, and find a way to pursue all your dreams in a more effective way that you will hopeful and most important thing, not only you are hopeful, but you're helping other people to grow with the same passion and with the same level of optimism. Thank you so much, Jessica. See you in any other episode with any other new topic, and you will be, because I know we have vast discipline to be discussed from different perspectives. So thank you so much. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Javeria. Shukran. Thank you so much. Big hugs from Switzerland. Bye.
Same here. Bye. Allah Hafiz. Okay. It was good, right?
Yeah, I think so. Did you like it?
Yeah, I always love it. It's a treat for me to hearing you. I mean, because you always, give advices, because whenever you talk, I find some solution of any of my problem.
Okay, that sounds good.
But and you know what, actually, I've stopped the recording, right?
Yeah, I think so. I hope.
Last night.
No, it's recording, still recording.
No, not recording. Okay, it's